Hello, I'm Paula Miles from the Hillsborough Brookwood Public Library. Thanks for joining me for Tween Time. Today we're going to be looking at the second STEM2Go Take-Home Science Kit. Now these kits have all kinds of fun science and math activities divided for specific ages. So you can either get a kit for preschoolers or you can get one for grade school, or of course today's is for tweens. So this is going to be for 5th to 8th graders. And let's take a look at what's in the kit today. Okay, so the very first thing in our kit is a water purification word search. So this is super challenging. If you like challenging word searches, this is the one for you. Now you'll note that most of our activities are water themed. So that's because this week our science experiment is going to be to make a water filter. So let's look at the next activity. This is our math activity for the week. It's a salamander lineup puzzle. So as you can see, there are tiny little salamanders right there on the side, and you need to cut them out and place them somewhere in the grid. But the catch is each salamander cannot touch another salamander, either vertically or horizontally. So it's super challenging, but don't worry. If you get stuck, there are answers. Let's see, the next thing in the kit is the art project. So this is a tessellation art project. A tessellation, if you don't know, is a group of shapes that repeat the same pattern over and over again without any of the shapes overlapping another shape. So in this case, we have lizards. So you will color them, cut them out, and then arrange them in a pattern. Okay, and now we've come to the science experiment part. So as I mentioned earlier, we're going to be making water filters. So here are the instructions for how to make a water filter. Now we'll look at these in more detail later in the video. The very last piece of this kit is an information sheet with more information about the concepts that you're going to be learning about with the water filter, and an experiment sheet so you can record your observations and the results of all of your different experiments. Okay, so let's put that away, and then let's take a look at the specific materials that are also included in your kit to build your water filter. Okay, so let's take a look at the materials that you're going to need to gather to build your water filter. Many of these are going to be included in your kit. So first off, you're going to need gravel or pebbles. Then you're going to need some very fine-grained sand. You'll also need some coarse sand, and you can see there's quite a difference in the size of the particles between the two. Then you're going to need something called alum. It's also known as aluminum sulfate, and this is a flocculant. This is something that when you add it to water, it's going to make the particles stick together and make something called floc. And we'll talk more about that later when we're actually making our filter. Then you're going to need a coffee filter, a rubber band, and you'll also need to make some dirty water. You can use things from outside such as dirt or leaves or even coffee grounds. And you'll need a cup of cold water. You'll also need a 2-liter bottle. And as you can see, I have cut mine in half, and what we're going to be doing is inverting this, and this will become our filter. Okay, so let's set that aside, and now let's assemble our filter. Okay, so today we're going to be making a water filter, and we're going to learn about the 5 stages of basic water purification. Now the 5 stages are going to include aeration, coagulation, sedimentation, filtration, and disinfection. Now the first step, aeration, is going to involve this dirty water right here. And if you remember in the last segment of the video, we made the dirty water by mixing dirt, ground up leaves, and you can also use coffee grounds if you'd like. So stir it up really good until it's all combined. And now we need to do the aeration part. Now what you're going to need to do is get a second cup, and you're going to need to pour this dirty water into the clean cup, and then back and forth until you've added enough air into the water. Now you do that about 10 times total. Now, the next step of the process is going to be coagulation. How do we make that happen? Well, we're going to use our alum. You're going to need to add about 2 tablespoons into your dirty water. Just like so. And then you're going to need to stir it up really well. And you're going to stir it for about 5 minutes. And then once it's been stirred up for 5 minutes, you need to let it sit for 20 minutes. Now I'm going to show you what it looks like after it's set for 20 minutes. Okay, so now for a closer view at what happens whenever you add a coagulant to your dirty water. So as you can see, the dirty water that we just made in the last video is very, very cloudy. It almost looks like a milkshake. This water has been sitting for 20 minutes. And as you can see, it's clearly separated. There's dirt at the top, and then there's dirt at the bottom that has sunk to the bottom. So what's at the top are the leaves, and the dirt is at the bottom. This process is called sedimentation. Sedimentation means the large particles sink to the bottom and separate from the water. Okay, let's go to the next stage where we're going to build our water filter. Okay, now we're ready for the 4th step of the process, filtration. Filtration is the process where the remaining solid particles and floc are separated and removed from the water. So to do this, we're going to need to build our filter. So as you see, we have our 2-liter bottle, which is cut in half. And what we're going to need to do is take our coffee filter and the top of the bottle. We're going to lay the coffee filter over the neck of the bottle and rubber band it in place like this. Okay, and once it's secure, we can set it aside. Now we're going to take the bottom of the bottle. We're going to take the top of the bottle and turn it inside of the bottle. Okay, now we're going to add our materials into our filter. So you can try different ways of adding your materials and different amounts to see what will work the best for you. I'm going to add my pebbles first. Okay, so I have a good amount of pebbles in there, and the next thing I want to add to my filter is some of the coarse sand. So we're adding these all into layers because each layer is going to catch different particles. My top layer is going to be the fine sand. Okay, we've built our filter. Now let's get ready to test it. Okay, so now that we've waited 20 minutes for our dirty water to separate, for the coagulant to work, and we've built our filter, now we're ready for the very last step. We're going to pour the dirty water into our filter and see how it works. So do this kind of slowly, don't pour it all in at once, and definitely put a towel down. So we'll pour a little bit in and then we'll watch to see it filter down. Now it may take quite a while for it to filter down to the bottom, but you'll notice that at the very bottom we're going to get clear water, and then all of these particles are going to get caught up by the different layers in our filter. So let's wait a few minutes and then see what happens. Now you'll notice that we have water that is filtering down to the bottom. Now you can continue to pour the rest of your water into your filter and observe how it looks different at the bottom of the bottle as compared to in the glass. Now, I want to remind all of you that we've done 4 stages of water purification. Those were aeration, coagulation, sedimentation, and now filtration. But there's one that we're not doing today, and that is called disinfection. And disinfection is where you take out the hidden bacteria and particles that may still be remaining in the water, which could be hazardous to you if you drank the water. So, saying all of that to say do not drink the water out of your filter. It has not been disinfected. Okay, so whenever you're done filtering all of your water, you can disassemble your water filter and rebuild it, and maybe try layering the different layers in a different order and see how that affects the water that comes out of the bottom of your filter. Thanks for joining me today, and I hope that you had fun. We'll see you next time for the next Stim to Go kit. Thank you. Bye-bye.